We can say that our situation since 24th of February became worse maybe in more than 20 times.
We defused 240,000 explosive objects and more than 2,000 ton of explosives.
Mines can also be a threat to large animals like wild horses, deers and such.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course. I'm your host, Meri. Hundreds of thousands of explosive objects are being found all over Ukraine since the escalation of the Russian-Ukrainian war this year. Multiple organizations, both from within Ukraine and from outside, are helping with this mountainous task. In today's program, we'll talk about demining Ukraine. So if you want to find out more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Among the guests of our program today are representatives of a Ukrainian NGO, the Ukrainian government and an international NGO. All of them have been helping to make Ukraine safe. First, let's talk to Tymur, the executive director of the Ukrainian Deminers Association. He says that before the escalation of the war on February 24th, Ukraine was in the top 5 countries around the world in terms of mine action problems. Today, Ukraine is on the first position around the world, relating to different statistics. Let's take a look.
According to Ukrainian Deminers Association data, we made such kind of assessment. So it's at least 138,968 square kilometers. You can imagine that it's yes, we are not talking about that it's all territory contaminated by mine and explosive object, but this is territory according to mine action is subject for humanitarian demining intervention, at least survey. And one is also important thing that on June, National Mine Action Authority officially announced that total area assessed even more, like 160,000 square kilometers. So actually we can say that our situation since 24th of February became worse maybe in more than 20 times. So how we can solve this problem, and actually we already started to do. So first of all, of course, activization and be more active relating to humanitarian demining. I'm talking especially about clearance procedure, clear square meters of Ukraine land, but it's all depend on funding. It's all depend on fund. I can say that budget of any countries cannot resolve this problem without external support, because it's huge amount of money. Humanitarian demining is quite expensive. So only with international support, only with support of our partners and international and world donor, Ukraine can solve this problem and effective and very fast clear our Ukrainian land. I am talking now about liberated and new liberated territory. Unfortunately, even now there are a lot of casualties from mine and explosive object.
Meri is the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. She has outlined the huge volume of demining work the Ukrainian government has done with the help of countries like the US, Japan, Norway and Poland.
For this moment, we defused 240,000 explosive objects and more than 2,000 ton of explosives, including more than 2,000 air bombs, for example, from the lands, and the total number of the lands which we cleaned up right now is 73 hectares. So it means that we have a work for this moment for next 5 to 7 years, which should be done. And this is just we are talking about the massive of the land contaminated territories, but we should keep in mind that we still have a huge massive of rivers, water reservoirs, we have bottom of the sea, and a lot of issues coming from this area, which is as well threatened for our citizens, for our business companies, for agricultural and logistical businesses, etc. So it means that the mining issue is influencing not just to the people's security and safety to their life, but as well it's very influential to the economical growth and renewing economy in Ukraine. So understanding all these facts, we are focusing very much on the national level to increase the capacity of our units who is working with the demining. And within last 3 months, we increased the staff of humanitarian demining units in the state emergency service in 2 times. For right now, we have close to 1,000 specialists who is dealing with demining 24/7. And we are going to increase more. So we are discussing right now to have another 500 staff who will be recruited, who will be trained and equipped for next further steps which we need to cover. So important thing is that we are able to recruit people and to train them rapidly, but the issue is to equip them with the modern equipment, with the modern tools, robotic equipment and vehicles to increase the capacity and speed up the process of demining. In this regards, we were creating International Center of Coordination demining issues within our ministry. I'm leading this center, and we are trying to focus on this issue and gathering all efforts of our international partners and organization who is supporting this project. And we are really appreciate all that partners who is already jump to this process and ready to finance our staff and provide us with the equipment. One additional thing which we launched already with our Swiss partners, this is the app which is describing and sharing the information about the contaminated territories across the whole Ukraine, which inform people how to behave when you are find out something similar to the explosives, how to inform special services and special agencies. And these kind of apps support us to raise informational campaign to increase attention to these dangerous things, and we are grateful as well for this. And one of the most important things which we start from the September 1st, beginning and start of the educational campaign in Ukraine, this is to increase the information among the kids, among the students, among the children, who should be aware what is the mines, what is the explosive, how to behave, what they look like, and what they should do if they find something similar in their garden or schoolyard or whatever.
And finally, Olesia Fesenko, the communications officer at Halo Trust Ukraine, spoke about the 4 steps needed for demining an area, the help the organization has received in the world, and how landmines and explosives affect the flora and fauna.
At first, we are doing this kind of reckon, we do a survey. As for now, what we do in Ukraine, we use open sources. We monitor all the information that is available from media, from internet, all this like videos, all these news about accidents. So whatever you can find in open sources, we usually monitor it. We get into our database. So in this way, we can already, while sitting in the office and not really getting out in these areas, we can identify certain areas where we suppose some contamination happened. And of course, in areas where there have been active military hostilities, there is a risk of mines. So after that, we deploy our survey teams. So what they do, they contact each potentially affected settlement and collect this rough primary information about the presence of a mine hazard and determine that type of hazard. So they speak to local administrations, to the military in this region, to just local citizens who might have seen something or heard something. They have some, like people usually know what is around them, where military have been and where something happened. And so once we have this kind of picture from the locals, then we can identify specific areas, specific territories where we suspect or we know there is a mine threat, and we create this minefield. And this is where, at this stage, we can take our demining teams, so mine clearance teams, who get to this site and begin this demining process. Since our survey team can identify already what type of ammunition was used, what type of mines were laid, was it anti-personnel mines or anti-transport mine, were they in plastic or metal cases, what are any explosives laid on tripwires, for example, which is always relevant for Ukraine. This is how we can understand what method of clearance we can use, what mine detectors we should use, how our deminers should work. There are various methods and various approaches to different types of threat. And this way we can identify the best way to do this, the safest way to do this, and then we go to each site and basically clear it until we are sure that it's 100% safe of any explosives. Since next stage is, this is always a question from journalists that we have is, so what do you do with those items that you find? And this is kind of specific to Ukraine. This is not what we always do in different countries, as Hilo is present in 28 countries and territories all over the world, And unfortunately, in Ukraine, it is legally impossible for us to conduct demolitions of unexploded ordnance. So we usually liaise with State Emergency Service. They come and remove or destroy these explosive items for us. We have this really really great collaboration with State Emergency Service for years, and they are very responsive to our calls. So this is how it is usually done. Luckily, many countries in the world support us, both large and small ones. For example, we as the Hilo Trust, we currently have a total of $13 million grant from the US. We have $2 million Canadian dollars grant from Canada. We have £2 million grant from the UK. So we have many, many more donors like the Netherlands and Germany, and new donors like Luxembourg and Japan. Unfortunately, we'll see the real impact of all those chemicals and explosives used long time after the war. However, there are other effects that we can confirm already from the mine threat. For example, all those territories like natural resources like parks and forestries. Sometimes employees of these national parks and forestries cannot access their land. Therefore, it's much more difficult for them to tend to these territories, to control poachers. We have such tasks even near Kyiv, where, for example, forestry staff has to work alongside a forested area where there are explosives laid on tripwires, and it is a constant threat to them, and obviously obstructs their work and might be damaging for the natural area around their forestry. Also, mines can also be a threat to large animals like wild horses, deers, and such. For example, Like from Angola to Southeast Asia, elephants are losing their lives and limbs to landmines just because of their mass. They're definitely initiating those mines, even anti-tank mines. So yes, there are certain types of threat to environment and certain effects that mines have on environment, but honestly, this is still a field that is studied and researched and.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In our pinned comment, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please subscribe to our channel, like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!